The United States Chamber of Commerce is a business-oriented American lobbying group. Politically, the chamber usually supports Republican political candidates, though it has occasionally supported conservative Democrats. The chamber is the largest lobbying group in the U.S., spending more money than any other lobbying organization on a yearly basis. The current president and CEO of the chamber is Suzanne P. Clark. She previously served as aide to CEO Tom Donahue from 1997 to 2007, and returned to the chamber in 2014, holding multiple executive roles before being named the organization's first female CEO in February 2021. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce was founded at a meeting of delegates on April 22, 1912. An important catalyst for the creation of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce were two prior business engagements between the U.S. and Japan. In 1908, Eiichi Shibusawa invited the first official, modern-day U.S. business delegation to visit Japan. This delegation was led by the prominent banker economist Frank K. Vanderlip, accompanied by 60 business representatives from the West Coast states of California, Oregon, and Washington. The goal was to bridge their nations diplomatically and to promote increased business and commerce. In 1909, in appreciation for the fine cordiality shown to the 1908 Vanderlip business delegation during their visit to Japan, an invitation was now sent to Japanese business leaders to tour the U.S. This invitation came from the Associated Chambers of Commerce of the Pacific Coast, whose membership included 8 principal cities from western coastal states of California, Oregon and Washington. Their gracious invitation was accepted by the Japanese, and in 1909, Shibusawa, accompanied by his delegation of over 50 of Japan's most prominent business leaders and notables, spent 3 months visiting 53 cities across America. Their travels were highlighted in many newspapers as they journeyed in a specially outfitted $1 million train, provided by the American industrial community. The U.S. government recognized the significance of their visit and sent U.S. representatives to accompany and assist them during their trip. 6 representatives of the Associated Chambers of Commerce of the Pacific Coast also accompanied them to help facilitate the events along the way. Their meetings included many chambers of commerce, tours of factories, power plants, fire departments, port facilities, mines, farms, schools, universities, libraries, theaters, churches, hospitals, and many other facilities. Their main goals to develop friendship and familiarity between the two nations while encouraging bilateral trade and commerce. An important influence of their visit was that it connected chambers of commerce across U.S., which likely motivated them to recognize the benefits of becoming a national organization. President Taft was one of the U.S. leaders that Shibusawa and his delegates met with during their visit. The chamber was created by President Taft as a counterbalance to the labor movement of the time. John H. Fay was the first chairman, and Henry A. Wheeler was the first president, and Elliott Hersey Goodwin was the first secretary. It opened its first office in the Evans Building. In 1913, President Taft spoke at its first banquet at the Willard Hotel, where he called for the organization to lobby for comprehensive currency legislation and to support the Commission on Economy and Efficiency. During its first year in existence, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's membership consisted of 297 commercial organizations and 165,000 firms and individuals. The U.S. Chamber's staff grew drastically in just 10 years of being created. In 1912, there were only 4 employees. However, by the time 1921 came along, the number of employees had risen to 300 during the 1919 U.S. Chamber Board meeting. Henry A. Wheeler proposed an idea that surprised many in the chamber itself. The idea was to create a national headquarters. Wheeler stated during this proposal that the board of directors should take this vote very seriously in deciding whether or not to make a national headquarters due to having to pay for it with their own money. Nevertheless, the board of directors didn't hesitate with their answer, and they began the process to create the Headquarters. Wheeler and Edson already had a planned location for where they believed the headquarters should be. The location was facing the White House on the corner of Lafayette Square. The only thing that was stopping them from building were two 19th-century mansions, the Corcoran House and the Slidell House. Nevertheless, the mansions were purchased for $775,000. The Washington, D.C. headquarters of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce occupies land that was formerly the home of Daniel Webster. Throughout its history, the United States Chamber of Commerce promoted the nation's business and economy. The Chamber's first referendum in January 1913 called for the plan.